For nearly 20 years, I heard the legend of the original Deus Ex. Deus Ex? Deus Ex. Whatever. How it was a certified classic, a pioneer in video game storytelling, and one of the greatest games of all time. But 19 years of hype isn't the same thing as a good game, so I want to know if Deus Ex is a good game or was just good at the time. Booting up Deus Ex was like jumping into a time machine and traveling to a point in history where text didn't scale with screen resolution and default controls were a twinkle in some developer's eye. Seriously, not only was WASD and left click literally the only buttons that did what I expected, the default controls had me using everything from caps lock to semicolon for functions I'd need in a pinch. So after rebinding the keys and getting it to a playable state, I was stoked to start. For years, I've heard how Deus Ex is full of mind-bending cybernetic augmentations, pulse-pounding action, tense infiltration set pieces, branching pathways, and a story that rivaled movies at the time. And if you've ever played Deus Ex without Nostalgia Vision switched on, you're feeling that cold dread crawl across your skin over knowing what's coming. Because that's not really Deus Ex. The majority of Deus Ex's gameplay is slow-paced exploration and stealth. Neither is bad, but the stories I heard about it never mentioned those being the crux of the gameplay. But to its credit, Deus Ex handles some of those stealth mechanics well. If you're willing to explore every corner of each level, the game will reward you with bonus XP, extra items, and possibly reveal an alternative path. And if you're patient during missions and study every room, you can learn where cameras are and the guards' pathing, allowing you to bypass or disable both with proper timing, if you're willing to spend the resources, like bullets and multi-tools. I don't hate stealth games, but I strongly dislike when games rely on making you wait rather than using a proactive method of avoiding detection. But what's this? I start with a gun? I don't have to be fully stealthy. I can sneak around a bit and blast my way into and out of horrible situations. Then I tried using a gun. The crosshairs take so long to steady. An NPC could walk out of range before I can reliably aim. Items and leveling your skills with guns can fix that. Both require limited resources, and neither were there to help in the early missions. So I cheated. I used cheat codes to get loads of skill points to make guns usable, along with a modest Doomsday Prepper's worth of ammo. When playing Deus Ex like a stealth game, I didn't really notice how awkward combat was due to how rarely it occurred. When I was being stealthy, I always chalked it up to me being startled because enemies caught me off guard, but it wasn't that. Pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles, even melee weapons all hit with the same underwhelming feeling of meh. Combat doesn't feel rewarding. And the enemy AI is also incredibly basic, either chasing you with supernatural precision or running around in small circles when wounded. Every other aspect of the gameplay was just as underwhelming. Hacking and lockpicking simply make you wait for numbers to go down. Augmentations mostly just make things you already do easier. Even ones like summoning a drone didn't make the game any more fun. The levels are large and conspicuously empty, meaning you spend loads of time trotting along without anything happening. Being able to explore an entire city block with multiple explorable buildings in the year 2000 was probably an amazing spectacle. But when the spectacle is no longer impressive, only the substance they put into those levels matter. I tried to love it. I kept thinking about how interesting the story was, and it is. And if I could just keep playing, I'd break through some wall and start enjoying it. Then, while playing it on the TV, my partner said something that challenged me at a fundamental level about this game. She said, "Are you playing Blocky Spy Game again? That game's boring." I opened my mouth to defend Deus Ex, but I knew in my heart she was right. I've been bored for hours. Nothing this game had to offer could make it fun for me, so I quit. So on a scale of milk to wine, how did Deus Ex age? The vanilla release aged like a milkshake in a hot car, but that's actually because of an issue I haven't mentioned yet. When I booted up the Steam version, it was so dark I literally couldn't play it. After doing some research, I managed to find a mod and fiddle with it enough to get the game into a playable state. Once I got it working, the game aged more like leftovers from your favorite restaurant that's starting to grow mold on one side. If you like what it is, you know most of it's still good, though you should definitely understand why your friends would turn it down. So I really hate giving such a celebrated game a review like that, and not just because I'll get angry tweets because I disliked it. I chose Deus Ex because I was sure I'd love it, and I wanted to kick off this series with a positive review. Not even my love for sunglasses, long coats, and cyberpunk could get me through it. Oh well. Maybe that one game with the cerebral bore will live up to the hype.